Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the View 52 Challenge. I am your host tonight, Jack Pinchuk, and with me once again as we get closer to the end of our journey through classic cinema. Damn it, words are hard tonight. Alex Martinez Coronado. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I am a little bit sick, and I don't remember one of the weeks in vivid detail, but don't worry, I made it.
Glad to have you, man. Awesome. Also joining us as we near the end of this journey we've been on this year is Melissa Woody. Melissa, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm not in my basement because I found a mouse last weekend. So I'm here next to my Christmas tree, safe from mice and rats. And I also have my cat right here supporting the show.
Hell yeah.
So I'm excited to be here. Second to last show too, which is kind of crazy.
I know it's crazy that we actually made it. Well, don't speak too soon, but next month we'll actually finish a show that we set out to start, and so that's nice. Yeah, we've got a pretty good lineup of movies for this month. All things considered, this month's challenges were, just to recap, a Japanese film. Best Supporting Actor / Actress winners double feature, last double feature of the challenge, a film with no score, and a film featuring Veronica Lake. Alex, we see you, and we dedicated an entire challenge to your love. So with that in mind, let's just get into it. A Japanese film. Let's start with a pretty delightful film. Melissa, tell us about Good Morning.
Yes, Good Morning was absolutely fantastic, just right off the bat. But yeah, this was directed by, I apologize, I don't know how to say their first name very well, so I'm just going to say Ozu, which I'm super excited because the Criterion Channel, I believe today, released like a collection of his, so I'm excited to check it out. But I digress. So this movie has a very simple premise. It has these two very cute boys, and they decide to protest in silence because they want a TV. And that's essentially the film. You could argue that's like something to like be mad about, that the movie's like maybe too simple, but I think that's what I love about it. It's a simple premise, and it's very beautiful, sweet, like slice of life type of movie. And farts. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a child. I will always think fart things are really funny. So like I liked the humor in the film. Yeah, this was just this was probably like the easiest watch of the year of like any film I've watched. It was just so easy, breezy, quick, delightful, good time. How did you guys like Good Morning?
I really enjoyed it. I watched it this morning immediately after I woke up, and I just had a really nice time with it. I can't remember the kid's name, like the youngest child, who is maybe the cutest child ever put to screen. He's just my favorite. I love him so much. This is just a really simple movie, slice of life. I tend to like those movies more often than not. Sometimes they don't work for me. This one absolutely did. It feels like you were just dropped into this little community, and you get to see all the minor disagreements they have. Ooh, did the lady we gave our rent money to use it to buy a washing machine? No, but you know what? That's a conflict for like half the movie, and it's honestly just really petty and really funny. It's a good time. Honestly, I can see myself watching again. It's my first Ozu movie. I also don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm not going to butcher it. But I want to watch Tokyo Story, so that's really high on my watch list, and we'll see. Hopefully, I'll get to that next year. But yeah, I had a really good time with this one. Alex?
So good morning. It's like not. It's not okay. I'll say this. It's not my kind of movie for a lot of reasons. Nothing, nothing really of consequence happens. There is no important anything really. Like the kids argue about like, we had this yesterday. We had the same dinner yesterday, and the mom's like, yeah, I agree. Eat your food. There's no significant like conflict beyond that really, and I think part of my brain is kind of turned off by that, but a different part of my brain does kind of light up at the idea of just watching this little community, really just like 5-6 people go through like a weekend, um, because they have a whole, I think part of me would expect to have a very different life. But when I was a kid, I also wanted a TV, and I also thought, I swear I just had this dinner. So it is a very like comforting kind of a movie to watch. Um, the kind of movie that I think you could watch any day of the week. Whether you're like cleaning or you're just sick or you're just, let's just put on a movie. Let's put on a movie and have a relatively nondescript time. I think Good Morning is really good for that. The kids were really cute. The two kids that they found for this, most of the movie they're just like hanging out together. They have a really nice dynamic, and I agree, farts are really funny. And the entire like the final joke of the movie, I thought was something that was going to happen it was just like a natural thing that was going to happen, and then it did, and I was like, good. Yeah, I think Good Morning is a delightful time, even if it is somewhat and like not my type of thing, not my type of movie.
That's totally fair. Yeah, no, oh yeah, I knew I had recognized that kid somewhere, and it wasn't until I was looking at reviews for this movie that I realized that child from this movie is John Petrovich's Letterboxd profile picture. So I knew I had recognized him from somewhere before. But yeah, no, it's this movie's a lot of fun. We'll go to mine next. Picked Godzilla, the 1954 film, the original. And like every bit of praise that people heap onto this movie, I get it. This movie is great. The special effects, well, certainly not perfect 70 years later or almost 70 years later, are still great. Like they're still really solid. Basically, these boats keep sinking, and people are like, what's going on? And they eventually find out that Godzilla, this creature who's been in his underground lair, I guess is the best way to describe that, or not the best, but a way to describe it, is coming up and wrecking shit because they keep dropping H-bombs on his home. And you know what? Fair. I'm Team Godzilla here. But no, just in all seriousness, this is a really interesting film. I can see why we keep getting Godzilla movies all these years later, even if modern adaptations have kind of strayed away from what Godzilla, like what that whole message of that movie was. But it's a very well done film. It's great. It's really great commentary on post war Japan and the fallout of everything that happened there. It's smarter people than me have said everything that there is to say about this movie, but it was a big blind spot for me, and I wanted to see it, so that was my pick, and I'm glad I did. I really am interested in seeing the sequels, and not all of them are good from what I hear, but you know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for whatever these movies are.
Yeah, no, thank you for picking it, because this was a first time watch for me as well. And I think earlier in the year, I can't remember who chose it, but we chose King Kong, I think, at some point. So it's kind of nice to see kind of both of those iconic monster type of movies or whatever. I will say, it's sorry to compare the two, but like I think going into it, it was like, okay, for King Kong, it was more like I really appreciated, like the just the work that they put into King Kong. But I didn't like love the movie. This one, I enjoyed the movie a lot more, but I also did appreciate like the creature effects too. But I thought the story was significantly stronger in comparison. When I was watching it, I couldn't help but kind of compare the two a little bit. I will say I really want to rewatch this as a double feature with Oppenheimer. I knew there was like political implications with this movie, but I didn't realize how much. And I was actually pretty fascinated by that, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. So yeah, I want to rewatch this one, and I don't really know if I'm interested in seeing any of the other ones unless, I don't know, somebody tells me like, please see this one, but I don't know. I feel like I might just stick with the OG.
That's fair. If they're added to fandom, though, we'll have to watch them eventually.
Not me.
Nope.
Fair.
They say you have to watch them. It's not true. You can go through a whole season without watching Die Hard. Trust me, I did it. It's 100% true. Godzilla is a really interesting watch because it kind of, you see a couple different sides of it. There's just a great scene where they're doing a like ritual, and a kid is like asking one of the one of the older people. He's like, what are we doing? He's like, oh yeah, a monster used to attack, so we used to sacrifice to it. Now we just keep doing the ritual. We're not gonna actually sacrifice somebody. So it's interesting to see like the mysticism, kind of, and then on the other side of that is a bunch of people in buildings going, whose responsibility is the giant lizard problem? Whose job is that? Yeah. And it's like a cool two ways of kind of looking at the problem, where like some, the people are going, well, we'll sacrifice, and then I don't know, well, if that doesn't work, I don't know what we're doing. And then on the other side are people going, I guess we'll bomb it, but I don't know. I guess we'll try and fight it. Yeah, Godzilla is a pretty impressive movie, considering it was made in the 50s, much like King Kong, which was like made quite a bit earlier. They still got a lot out of it, which is a really impressive achievement. I thought it was fine.
That's fair. I did check the doc here, and it was Alex and I that chose King Kong as our 1933 pick.
Sounds like me.
But no,
remember.
I also cannot remember.
That's fair. But no. Also, this movie, very dark at times, and there's a lot going on. But there is this one moment where this reporter is like on the top of this building watching King Kong just wreck this city, and King Kong, who's a ways away, let's be honest, a ways away, turns towards him. He's like, King Kong's coming this way, too late to run now, all is lost, I guess we'll die now. And then he dies. It's just the weirdest moment in this movie.
Wait, you're talking about King Kong or Godzilla?
Oh fuck, not King Kong.
I was like, I kind of thought you were talking about
Godzilla.
Okay.
I hate everything. Godzilla starts coming this way. He's like, Godzilla's coming this way, I guess we'll die now. Yeah, and then they do. it's just a weird moment in this movie, but it's also kind of funny. We'll move on so we can put that King Kong bullshit behind us. And Alex, talk about this movie.
Throne of Blood is an awesome movie with I should explain actually. In the wake of the sort of westernization of Japan, they got a bunch of culture left to them by the white people that were like, hey, let's go to Japan. And they ended up with all this extra culture, and they liked some of it. And like it was taught in schools, and so kids, teenagers, whatever, all of a sudden had this extra like European stuff that they had the knowledge of, and you know, some of it is actually very good. So it a sort of melting pot culture kind of started happening, and it ended in movies like Throne of Blood, where a clearly a clear Macbeth inspiration. It's a pretty clear Macbeth adaptation. Gets sort of brought into samurai movies. It is a samurai Macbeth. Basically, there is a power struggle, and two guys end up on top, and one guy's wife is like, hey, there's two of you. What if you just killed the other guy? Like, what would that look like? And what if you just murdered a couple more people? You're a soldier. You've killed people before. And the guy's like, you know, it's an excellent point. And in a kind of breach of paranoia and power hungriness, one guy tries to take over as much as he possibly can, because that is the nature of power. And then it doesn't, you know, necessarily end well for him. Throne of Blood has the greatest death scene of all time. Toshiro Mifune, if you have never seen the end of Throne of Blood, honestly, you don't even have to watch the movie. Just pull up the death scene. It's like a whole 5 minutes of the greatest scene of all time, where Toshiro Mifune, who is the greatest actor that's ever lived, I'm just putting it out there, is told there's going to be arrows being fired live at you. Try not to get hit by them. And he's like, and then they start shooting.
That's exactly.
And 20 arrows come down the line. 3 hit him. The rest of them go into the wall. And he's like, ah! And then you better move, because there are more coming. And it's the greatest thing of all time. The movie is the rest of the movie, kind of divorced from that, is like good. You follow it. You're like, yeah, I remember this from when I read it in school. And then the death scene happens, and you're like, this is the greatest movie of all time. There's nothing like it. I love it so much. Toshiro Mifune is the greatest actor of all time. He has the best eyes in all of movie history. Second only is Emma Stone. I've spoken.
I mean, that's a little hard to follow up on, because I agree. I do agree with like everything you just said, though, for sure. Like I will say something I absolutely loved about the movie was the fog. Like, you know, I thought E.T. used a lot of the fog in that movie, but I don't know. Throne of Blood, they used a lot of fog action, but I was here for it. Like I appreciated like this gothic atmosphere. I was not expecting that at all. Like I think this will be a really good like September, October, November type of rewatch. And yeah, it's like I haven't read Macbeth since high school, so I'm just like, I kind of remember this story, and then it was kind of all kind of coming back to me as the movie was going on, like you were kind of saying. I will say that I can't remember her name, I apologize, but like the Lady Macbeth character, oh my god, she was fantastic, like insano, like mode, like I feel like for the majority of the film, and I really appreciated that because I love unhinged women.
Yeah.
So
that is fair. That is totally fair. This movie rules. Macbeth is my favorite of Shakespeare's plays that I've read. Not that I have read very many, but you know, we all went to high school and we all read some. So of the ones I've read, it's my favorite. And this is up there with The Tragedy of Macbeth as the best adaptation of the story, in my opinion. There are obviously changes made, but I think they work for this film quite a bit. I think also, yes, Alex talked a lot about it, but that death scene is brilliant.
Oh yeah,
That
so great.
the one thing I knew about this movie was the fear on, like, because we've all been on the internet. The one thing I knew about this movie was that scene, and the fear on his face was real. And you know what? After seeing it, yeah, I totally believe it. This movie is great. Toshiro Mifune may be the greatest actor of all time. He has never been bad in anything. He just always understands the assignment, and him and his eyes just do it. They deliver every single time. Yeah, no, still my favorite quote. One of my favorite quotes from Alex. I'd know that deranged look anywhere. Is that Toshiro Mifune? Yeah, no. Love this movie. Number 3, Kurosawa, because Yojimbo and Seven Samurai are above it, but this movie is brilliant. Had a great time with it. Very excited to rewatch.
Yeah, agreed. I'm looking for. This is like one I would want to definitely rewatch again.
Oh, absolutely. That's week 1. Week 2, or not week 2. Week 2 this month. Week 46. We're almost at the end here. Best supporting actor / actress winners double feature. I'll kick us off this time with. Ooh, let me tell you, we got a double feature here. It certainly is a double feature, and A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. We'll start here because I have thoughts about National Velvet, or one thing specifically. But A Tree Grows in Brooklyn is about a family in New York, well, Brooklyn, yeah, that's struggling to get by. They're not in the best of financial circumstances. The father is an alcoholic. Who is unemployed, but he's just doing he's a flawed dude, but he's doing what he can for his family, and that's the performance that won Best Supporting Actor for 1945. Which, having seen only one other nominee, I don't think this is a bad win by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's James Dunn, I believe is the actor's name, is kind of the beating heart in this family. Like he is the one who brings warmth into this film, and at a lot of the time, I thought he was very good. Nothing like spectacular, but by no means a bad Oscar win. However, I'm forgetting the name of his wife in the movie, but she gives the strongest performance, in my opinion. I thought she was excellent. If I can remember her name, then I'll mention her. But yeah, no, she was the best part. It's another slice of life movie. It's just these people going about their life and not really anything else to it, but you're just kind of there for the ride, and that's it. But you know what? It's a very heartwarming movie, also a secret Christmas movie. So there's that. It was a good thing that it landed around this time of year for me to watch it. So I enjoyed it for the most part. It was fine, not spectacular, but good. Someone else about this movie while I figure out the wife's name.
Yeah, unfortunately this movie was just incredibly dull for me. I could not get into it. I also just thought the acting was not good. I thought it was very forced and just not good. And I think that was part of the problem is I just didn't find any of it believable. So that's I think why I was having a hard time emotionally connecting with it, which is insane because again, this is a story that I should, because it's about an alcoholic father and the daughter being obsessed with her dad, and that's something that's very close to my heart. Is I had a dad who was a drug addict that I was obsessed with as a kid. So this should have been a movie I was very much connected with, and like I should have cried at certain points, but I didn't. I thought it was so dull and boring and cringe-worthy acting for me. I don't know. I don't know if I was just in a mood. Hard to say, but it very much missed the mark for me. Yeah, it's just kind of like a nothing movie for me. Like I don't really remember much of anything with it.
That's fair. I will say, Dorothy McGuire is the name of the actress who plays the mother and wife. She's great. But this was the feature film debut of Elia Kazan, and you know what? That makes a lot of sense.
And there's a better Elia Kazan movie later. Anyways,
I was gonna say, I think this is kind of all of the downsides of Elia Kazan as a director kind of laid bare. I think I would agree. A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, I don't think it's bad, but I think it's a bit clinical. I think it is very dull, and I think there's just better explorations of this out there, probably. I wasn't blown away by the performances. I don't tend to be blown away by the 40s. Just in general, I think the 40s were like a very dull decade in general. And I think this is just kind of just like a big example of that. I did not particularly, not that I remember any of these weeks particularly, not that I remember anything in this week particularly well anyway, but like just like a very dull place of this week.
That's fair. 100% valid. Now to National Velvet. This was the reason I picked this double feature. Is because late last year, I believe it was late last year, I saw a movie for the first time that blew me away. And one performance in particular that I saw was nominated for Best Supporting Actress in this year, but didn't win. And that's Anne Blythe in Mildred Pierce. I thought, okay, I'm definitely open to seeing National Velvet, Oscar-winning movie from this era. I want to see this movie. Then I saw Boatman watch, and he told me Blythe was robbed, and so that may have colored how I saw this movie or going in. However, I just want to say right now, for all the horse girls out there, this is the movie for you. This movie, you know what? It should. National Velvet is misleading. It should just be called Horse Girl the movie. There's not much that I could connect to. Here's the thing. I grew up around horses. I get it. I have 2 miniature horses at right now. However, this movie's fine. Like, I get it if you grew up with it and it's like you enjoy it, but it's fine. There's nothing really there. And Anne Revere, I don't understand how Anne Revere won Best Supporting Actress for playing mom in Horse Girl the movie. It's just it does not compute. The movie's fine. You get the dude who played the Asian neighbor in Breakfast at Tiffany's. You get a young
Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney. That's the name. You also get a young Elizabeth Taylor in this movie, and you know what? She's charming, but that's it. It wasn't for me. It's the whole. I will say, I'm glad I finally watched it. So now I have a reason to be mad about Anne Blythe losing. But no, this movie's fine. All in all, like it's nothing terrible, but there's nothing really there for me to latch onto. It just exists, and I saw it. So there. Someone else, please.
Okay, how did we feel that the horse was named Pie?
It just seemed like an odd choice.
That just killed me. I was like, okay, a horse named Pie. No, so this actually was a rewatch, but a rewatch that I don't really remember much. I do remember watching this as a child with my grandma, kind of like The King and I. Both, I just kind of wish I kept it in the past. With like, oh, that was a cute little horse movie. Because yeah, this was, it was fine. It wasn't that terrible. It was fine, but like it was way too long for what we're getting, the substance of the story and just what happens to. I just thought it was like way, this should have been like an hour and a half or even shorter. Because I did enjoy like the last like 30 minutes of the movie. I felt like that was the strongest part. It kind of felt like we were like waiting for that the whole time a little bit. It just felt like that middle section was just kind of like not knowing what to do a little bit. And yeah, just Elizabeth Taylor dressed up as a boy was absolutely ridiculous to me. I just not believable in the slightest. And then I get that like jockeys have like bright colored costumes, but like a bright pink costume, like it was just insanity. Yeah. I will never want to watch this again.
The most nondescript sport, and yet like I don't know what he is paying attention to the jockeys, but I feel like I could spot Elizabeth Taylor in a pink. Like I think I could. Like given even just one chance, I can't imagine how anyone would have been surprised. Yeah, National Velvet is like the most nondescript movie of all time. You see it and you're like, I don't buy it, and then it ends and you're like, okay, sure. Hi Elizabeth Taylor, hi Vicky Rooney. I don't know what either of you are doing here. The 40s were just a weird time. They were a weird, silly time.
They were a weird, silly time, and you know what? Okay, then. I guess this movie exists. We'll move on. You know what? Let's go to Alex. Alex, tell us about the greatest double feature for this.
Fact, like, can you imagine the day I had watching A Streetcar Named Desire and then immediately going, it's time, let's watch A Streetcar Named Desire. It's a freaking nightmare of a day. Based on the play, A Streetcar Named Desire is a fucking nightmare to get through, even just once. It's a story about a couple whose sister, who's the girl in the couple, his sister comes to visit, and she's a goddamn nightmare. Which is really great. It's going to partner really well because this woman's boyfriend, husband, I can't remember, is also a goddamn nightmare. Marlon Brando is in it, and he's an absolute terror. The sisters, one of them is normal, and one of them is an absolute nightmare to be with in conversation. They spend 2 hours of my life bouncing off of each other in like every single negative encounter that two people can have. They have over the course of like a week. It feels like they spend a long time just trying, Brando's got a bad feeling about her. He's trying to figure out the inconsistencies in her story. There are inconsistencies in her story. She's got a really weird past that she's trying to keep hidden. And he's like, I know what I'll do. I'll be an asshole. Marlon Brando things. It's a really uncomfortable movie for a lot of it. It's a really star-studded movie. Everyone works really hard for it. But I think ultimately it is very unpleasant. In like a Mildred Pierce kind of way, or like just like a really what's that movie we watched at like the very beginning of the challenge with Elizabeth Taylor?
Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf? It just exactly in like a really like get all of these people away from each other kind of way. I that's what I felt about A Streetcar Named Desire. Everyone worked really hard. Probably Brando's best. I'm not a big Brando fan, but he, this probably his strongest performance from him. And just a really uncomfortable. I think Elia Kazan finds uncomfortable really fascinating, and I think this is probably his strongest attempt at it. And I want to never see another Elia Kazan movie ever again after it. And it's really good. It's, you know, you can watch it and be like, oh shit, they did it. But I don't think I would want to do it. Like, I did it twice, and I don't think I want to go for 3. I think we're done at 2.
Have you seen Splendor in the Grass?
No.
Okay, I do recommend that one because I do love
Okay.
that one.
That's the one with Natalie Wood, right?
Correct.
Okay, it's on the watch list. I'll have to check it out. I want to see it.
I love that movie. Anyways, no, I love that you brought up Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, because I was going to bring it up as well, because I do see a lot of similarities between the two movies. Like, I think because they're both plays adapted to screen, there is like this kind of dance to like the dialogue and like how things move around. And I love Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and guess what? I love this movie too. I've realized, like, okay, I think we've established that like Jack loves like depressing movies, which I do too. But like, I think something that I love uncomfortable too. Like I love an uncomfortable film that like brings me weird comfort. I don't know if that's really the right word, but like I guess I enjoy that in my movie watching experience. I like kind of going there with like an uncomfortable film. But no, I think this movie, so this is the second time I've seen it. It's so layered. Like this is just one I need to kind of keep watching, I think, because I think I'm gonna be picking up things on rewatches. And yeah, I think everyone is doing some amazing work here acting wise. Like, I said it in my first review that like if I were ever to like study acting, I think this is the movie I would like want to really study, because I think the acting of it all in this is just incredible, especially the conflicting styles of Vivien Leigh and Marlon Brando. Like, they're so different. Like, she's very old school traditional actress, like and then he's like so raw emotional, like, and so it's just it's really cool to see the contrast between those two characters and the acting styles. But yeah, this actually went up significantly on my rewatch. Like, I'm gonna give it 5 stars. I watched it right before we went live. Yeah,
that is totally fair.
Anyways,
this movie this movie is great. Yeah, I have not I did not get an opportunity to rewatch this film, unfortunately. However, there are very few movies that I would give all 4 acting Oscars to. This is one of them. The fact that Marlon Brando, who's maybe giving the most like give me the Oscar now performance out of everyone in this movie, didn't win, is the only one that didn't win, is a little insane. Vivien Leigh, this might be her best performance, or her better Oscar win between this and Gone with the Wind. I like Gone with the Wind more than a lot of people, so you know it's close for me. But this might actually be her better win. Carl Malden, I don't think any of us have brought him up yet. He's excellent in this. I need to rewatch it, but I remember just being really surprised by him when I saw this movie. It's one that I want to give another watch, because the first time I saw it, like, I gave it a good rating, but I think it would go up on rewatch just because I wasn't prepared for how uncomfortable it was going to make me the first time. I knew nothing about it going in, and you know what? That's fair. I was not prepared for that level of discomfort. It's definitely one of Kazan's better movies, we'll say. Also, you mentioned Splendor in the Grass earlier. I remember what I was going to say. If you follow Cameron Redshaw on Letterboxd, you should check his review for Splendor in the Grass, because it's great. It's a great review.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
With that, we'll move on to the last movie for this challenge here. Melissa, take it away.
Yeah, so I chose Cool Hand Luke and Cactus Flower, which wow, would talk about very different vibes. I'm gonna start with Cactus Flower. So this was probably the most delightful surprise of the month for me. Like I really knew nothing about it. I was just like, oh, Goldie Hawn, okay, hell yeah, let's go. But like I really knew nothing about going into this movie, and I'm glad. And I thought this was a delightful little comedy. And I love her character. Like she is so flawed, but just incredibly lovable and likable at the same time. And I loved seeing Ingrid Bergman kind of like cut loose a bit in this, and also being a comedy. I feel like everything I've seen her in, and I know Jack, you love her, but like every movie I've seen her in, she's like so serious, like actress lady, and like it was just really cool to see her in a comedy kind of in her older years, and like she was great. Like I honestly, she was maybe the standout for me. Like I loved her. But yeah, no, this was just a fun time. And I will gladly rewatch this again. What did you guys think about Cactus Flower?
Yeah, I watched this movie earlier this year, maybe late last year, as I was like rounding out my Oscar-nominated Ingrid Bergman strength in Melee. And I had a really good time with it. It's weird that both Gene Saks movies I have seen have started with a character's attempted suicide,
Yeah.
and they're both comedies. So there's that. But this movie, it starts in a really dark place, but it gets funny fast. Walter Matthau, which is just the weirdest thing. That last sentence it sounded weird to me. But Walter Matthau in this movie is so fun. Like, he is giving the perfect like snowball effect comedic performance where one lie just starts getting bigger, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until he just can't control it anymore. It is a really fun time. Goldie Hawn, like, okay, I love Ingrid Bergman. You will not hear me say a bad thing about Ingrid Bergman, but Goldie Hawn is like maybe the best part about this movie. Like, I love Ingrid Bergman, and she's giving a phenomenal comedic performance. She's excellent in everything. But Goldie Hawn, I think this was her first movie, and what an introduction! She did so well in this. Definitely deserves her Oscar win. It's nice when comedic performances get to win Oscars, because yeah, that doesn't seem to happen often. But yeah, no, she's incredible. Ingrid Bergman is having the time of her life at some points. Her dancing in this movie is so fun. Also, if you want to see a more comedic Ingrid Bergman movie, watch Indiscreet. It's got her and Cary Grant.
Okay.
Great time. Also, maybe Bergman's best line reading in any movie ever.
Okay. High praise.
You'll know it when you hear it. Anyway,
Okay.
Before I start rambling, Alex, post in the comments.
It's genuinely weird to like just like hearing the pitch. If you like hear, hey, I've got a movie for you. It's Walter Matthau, Goldie Hawn, and Ingrid Bergman. You're like, what? What are you talking about? Those are the names are not the three names are like very strange together. I don't know if it was just because the week was so weird. But Cactus Flower really stands out as like a really fun entrance to the week. I don't particularly like comedies. But I think a correct like throwing in a comedy every now and then can be really brilliant, especially if you've just watched A Streetcar Named Desire twice. I think something like Cactus Flower can like really brighten up your mood, and I think in that it is very successful.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I feel like I'm getting more into comedies like in the past 2 years. Like I just didn't really like to laugh before that. I'm just kidding. Um,
Oh no, I hear you. Trust me, I hear you.
It's a great joke.
so then I chose Cool Hand Luke, which I like going into this one. I was like, I don't know, it's so iconic just by the name. Like I really didn't even know anything about it. I was just like, Paul Newman's in it, and I've heard that name, Cool Hand Luke, like pretty much my whole life. It feels like, but I didn't really know much about it. This was another kind of great surprise as well, and it was funny because my husband, I was like, hey, like I need to watch some View 52 movies. I think you might like this one. And like he definitely was like into it, which was really cute. Because he's usually like, no, like I don't want to watch classics. And like, fair. No, this one actually really, for whatever reason, was giving me like, I feel like Cool Hand Luke walked so that One Flew Over the Cuckoo Nest could run. It gave me like that type of vibe a little bit with like kind of the story of it all, but and I do prefer One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest because I think the emotions there a bit more. But I thought a standout part of this movie was the cinematography. Like I think just some of the sunsets in the movie, and then like the shots with like the sunglasses and like the close-up shots with like playing the guitar. I don't know. There was just some really cool shots, and I thought that was definitely like a standout piece of it. I thought the performances were great. And what is his name? George Kennedy, who won. Every time he showed up on screen, I was like, this motherfucker. And that's like a good thing for me. Like if I'm pissed about somebody, and like he's just somebody that I'm gonna remember that just like pissed me off, like I think it was a great performance. He's just such a douchebag.
Fair.
Thoughts on Cool Hand Luke?
Alex.
Eating 50 eggs in a row sounds like a real chore. It sounds like a real task. So I watched Cool Hand Luke in kind of a state of delirium. I was very sick the week of this challenge. So I remember, but that is one of two thoughts that I had. The other thought is, God, Paul Newman is like a very like Paul Newman's so hot.
Yeah.
I had two thoughts, and that was one of them. The other one was 50 eggs. 50 hard-boiled eggs. Like, I like hard-boiled eggs, fine. But 50, like, I can't. Have you ever had one of those have you ever seen one of those trays for people for deviled eggs?
Yes.
And you're like, you see a bunch of deviled eggs, you're like, oh, that's a very nice tray. Like 50 like all of that will hold like 20 something deviled eggs, and that's eggs cut in half. 50 hard-boiled eggs. I remember thinking, that's so many. Oh my God. This has nothing to do with anything, by the way, because the hard-boiled egg scene is not a big part of the movie, and I recognize that, but I can't help but think 50 hard-boiled eggs. Oh my God. What a chore. You won't eat for days after that. Absolutely not. You won't shit for weeks. You won't. Jack, what do you think?
So yeah, 50 hard-boiled eggs. No, this movie is really good. I didn't get a chance to rewatch it. I watched it back when we were doing Picture This. I actually don't think it got a picture nomination, but I saw that it won an acting Oscar. No, it was not nominated for Best Picture in that year. But you know what? I watched it for George Kennedy and Paul Newman. And I had a great time with it. Well, great time is a stretch, but it was a very good movie. Those. Yes, you shouted it out earlier, but I have to do it again. The cinematography in this film is stunning, gorgeous. Especially the shots of the sunglasses. It's so iconic for a reason. This is a movie that my sister really loves and saw not 1, not 2, not 3, but like many years before I did. And so she was very excited when I told her I saw it. She loves this movie. Paul Newman, fantastic. Definitely an incredible performance, and one that I want to go back to. I just haven't had the opportunity as of yet. But no, this was a fantastic selection for you, Melissa. With that, I'm my voice is dying right now, so I'm gonna get us to the next one, and someone can talk about a film with no score. We all picked the same movie. Well, 2 of you did, and then I switched mine because I realized probably having another John Ford movie would have been a mistake.
Oh my god.
You know,
I would
we
have
all
killed him.
picked M. Someone introduce it so I can take a drink.
M. It is the movie that really needs you, requires you to ponder 2 questions. Really 3. Actually, 3 questions. The first question is, do you know where your kids are right now? The second question is, are you sure? Are you sure about that? That's where they're at? Okay.
Oh my God.
And the third question is, whose responsibility is the whole society thing? M is the story of a city in crisis because there is someone just out and about killing kids who are left unsupervised. He sees them. Kids are like easy to just, distract and whatever until you get them and you kill them. That is what this person is doing. The authorities are aware that someone is doing it. They have picked up on the pattern, but they have not been able to catch him yet. So in response, the criminals of this town, of this city, get together and they conspire to catch, to mark and make the capture of this character, brilliantly played by Peter Lorre. It's really funny because this film is in German, but Peter Lorre sounds the same. Like I sound very different in Spanish. Peter Lorre, exact same voice. I could pick that voice out anywhere in a different language. It doesn't matter. And it really forces you to kind of sit with the idea of, I don't know where, I don't know where my kids are at. I think there is a fantastic scene where Peter Lorre has where he is kind of talking about this compulsion that he has. And that seems great. But I think the first 10 minutes of this movie, where there is a woman waiting for her child to come home, and the child is maybe a block or 2 away, but just the fact that you see Peter Lorre there, and you realize that this kid's not going to make it home, is really haunting, because you want to scream to this mother, like, get outside, your kid's in danger. All the other kids are coming home. The mailman's like, oh yeah, I saw your kid just like out there somewhere. The mom's like, oh, okay, well then she'll be along whenever. But it is really horrifying, the idea that you can be so close to safety and be in so much trouble. And I think M is a really neat exploration of that. And is, again, I didn't even notice it didn't have a score. You are so wrapped up in it that if you just told someone, hey, did you know you didn't hear music that whole time? I think they would have been genuinely surprised, because it is, regardless of that, still a very complete movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead. Oh.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. This movie's incredible. One of the best movies I've seen this year, for the challenge or otherwise. Peter Lorre is horrifying at times. That monologue that he delivers when he's confronted by all the other criminals might be one of the greatest in film, and it's going to stay with me for a very long time. It is just it is a very haunting movie, aided by the cinematography, and the lack of score, I think, helps it quite a bit. no, this movie is fucking brilliant. I have to give it another watch, not anytime soon, because it's gonna leave me thinking for quite a bit. But eventually, down the road, I'll rewatch it. But fuck, this is an incredible film. Definitely, yeah, no, I'm rambling at this point, but no, definitely one that will be an all-timer at some point for me. Incredible shit.
Yeah, no, I think the lack of score and the use of silence here really is powerful. Like that scene where it's like the evil dies tonight scene a little bit in my mind of like, it's like that
That is fair. I definitely thought about that too.
but like when he kind of sees that crowd and it's just silence and it kind of pans and shows everyone, like I that kind of gave me chills, to be honest. When I was watching, I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of people in here. Like evil is fucking dying tonight. Let's go. And I was hyped. No, I mean, this movie is incredible in regards. I mean, Peter Lorre, like, yeah, like one of the all-time acting performances that I've seen. Like, really, really great. And yeah, the cinematography was really, really effective. Like the use of shadows and light, really eerie. I think for me, the standout scene that I just found so disturbing was when Peter Lorre was kind of looking at that girl and like just the intensity in his eyes. Like, and it's so crazy because she's not really doing anything. He's just looking at her, but it is so disturbing because there's like pleasure in his eyes and there's like intensity and like madness and just like all of it just all in his face. And it's just it's just like a lot, but nothing's really happening. He was just able to do so much with his face. Like it was incredible. And then she kind of like finds her mom or whatever. Like he doesn't actually like do anything with her, but like just stares at her. Like again, kind of goes back to that speech at the end of like, he just can't control himself. And you see it in that scene and it's just so gross. It's so good. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know if I described it.
Oh no, I know exactly what scene you're talking about.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no,
because it seems so clear in my mind.
That scene made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But
no,
yeah,
sure.
no. Fucking brilliant. This movie is fantastic. We are moving right along. And you know what, Alex? I'm going to let you introduce this week. This one's for you, buddy.
So Veronica Lake is awesome all the time. Every single time. Even if the movie's like not good, she is a good time. She has a really great, fun, flirty vibe to her. And we did a whole week. I didn't get like a lot of influence over the challenges. I did mean for more people to watch I Married a Witch, but I feel like I've successfully rescued that. You're welcome, Criterion. I feel I've successfully rescued that. And I'm moving on to other Veronica Lake movies. I guess we could start with mine. I Wanted Wings. It's actually really funny that that's the name of this movie because I feel like this movie is the Wish version of the movie Wings, the Best Picture winning movie. This movie is not as good as Wings, but it is a very similar, actually, premise, following the brave men who want to be pilots as they do pilot school, apparently. And instead of there being like one woman, they're like, all right, what if there were two? And that's where kind of the rails, start to get kind of creaky for this movie, is that because there are so many characters, you have to try and write interesting stuff for all of them. But you see, the people that made I Wanted Wings saw that problem and they were like, no, we're not going to write for any of them. They just decided that saying that they were characters was better than that. and they didn't make any effort to do anything interesting. Veronica Lake shows up, and she's like a fun dancer that's connected, or a fun singer that's connected to one of them, and then that's it. She's interested in Jeff, one of the guys, and then she ends up with a different one. Jeff, the rich guy who was never shown having any money, ends up with a completely different woman and never looks at Veronica Lake really ever again. And then Veronica Lake ends up dying. It's like really weird. But the Veronica Lake performance part of it is really fun. She gets a moment of being incredibly messy, just showing up somewhere completely disheveled, and that's neat. Again, I've never been particularly impressed with the 40s. So what I will say is that I wish this were messier or more ambitious. Because Wings was both of those things, and I think I have fond memories of Wings. I have not rewatched it since I saw it that first time. But this, I think I wanted Wings needs salt in like it's like an elaborate meal that does not taste good. You know what I mean? Like, oh wow, you spent 3 hours making this incredibly, rare and strange dish, and it doesn't taste like anything, and that's really weird, actually. Yeah, I don't know. I picked the wrong movie.
It's fair.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I feel like out of the 3 movies that we chose this week, I would say this was the weakest. Which I'm like, sorry, Alex.
I agree.
And like, I agree though. I think Veronica Lake in all 3 of these movies, like, she's great. Like, she has a great screen presence, and like, I just like her. And I do feel like she's kind of underutilized in all of them though, in different ways. But anyways, specifically this movie, it's funny that you bring up Wings, because I also had that thought as well. I was like, this is definitely giving me kind of Wings vibes, but okay. But like, I don't know. For me, yeah, the script was kind of a mess. It just felt like there was too much going on, but also nothing, which was confusing. And yeah, the whole like love story and yeah, Veronica Lake doesn't show up until almost an hour in, which I was pissed about. I was like, okay, what the hell is this movie? I don't care about William Holden and Ray Milland like at all. Give me
Ray Milland again.
Yeah, I was like, sorry, he's just not my guy. Like, I can't win with him. No, yeah, I just didn't like the love story, love triangle situation. Like, just none of it really made sense. Like, none of it felt earned. Like, it was like, we're in love, and I'm like, what? Didn't you just meet like last week or like yesterday? Like, what is going on? Yeah, like this didn't work for me. Like, it really didn't. Wasn't really a fan. Not gonna watch again.
I hear you. Yeah, this movie didn't work for me, but you know what? Extra half star because Veronica Lake.
Yeah,
she is so good in everything, even if what she's given is total crap. This movie isn't particularly good. It's Wings, but worse. Yeah, I feel comfortable saying that. This movie, it's a mess. The screenplay is a mess. The performances are fine for the most part, I guess. Like, they exist, but there's nothing really in them to draw me in at all and keep my attention. I kept checking the runtime because I thought it was ridiculous that Veronica Lake hadn't shown up yet, and then an hour in, she showed up. So I was a little upset about that. And because it took so long for her to show up, it made the romance feel really underdeveloped. Because, what, it's like halfway through the movie, but whatever. Movie's fine at best. I don't know. It was the last movie I saw before going live for this. Definitely a letdown. Not my thing. That's unfortunate because I always want the best for movies when we pick them for this show, but that's okay. I'll be the first to admit I've picked maybe the worst movie that we watched for the show with Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow.
Yep,
I think it was me that picked that. So,
for sure was.
yeah, it was for the Italian film because Alex picked Bitter Rice, and that movie was great.
Yeah, that was good.
You remember January, guys? That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. We'll move on. I think we'll finish with Sullivan's Travels. So, Melissa, talk This Gun for Hire.
Yeah, so I chose This Gun for Hire, and this one was fun. Like, it definitely was a step up from I Wanted Wings, because this is actually the order that we're talking about them in is the order I watched them in. And yeah, basically it's about this like assassin hitman guy. He gets wronged by his boss, so he tries to track him down, but in the meantime his boss is trying to hire Veronica Lake's character, who is like a showgirl, I guess, slash magician slash singer, like multi-talented in this movie. And then her, I believe, fiance is the cop that's trying to catch the assassin. So it's like there's kind of a lot of like what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot going on, but it worked for me. Like I did enjoy this one. I kind of wish it was like either grittier or kind of like you were saying, Alex, with the last movie, like messier. Like I just wish they kind of went for it a little bit more, or it was funnier or something. I don't know. I feel like something was missing to like kind of take it over the edge for me. I will say it was really weird to see. I mean, I know Veronica Lake is a small woman, but it was weird to see her just like being carried around, like when she's like tied up. And I was just like, okay, she just looks like she weighs nothing. But I enjoyed this one for the most part, but it's kind of one that's fairly forgettable at the same time. Like, it was just like, oh, that was cute. Okay. It was a good time.
Yeah, I enjoyed it when I saw it. Looking back on it, I don't remember the finer details of it, other than the guy kills a cat, and I do not enjoy that part of it. Alan Ladd, love you and Shane, but dude, you fucked up here. This movie is good. It's a very thrilling noir at times. It starts off slow. I will admit that it starts off a little slow, but once they get on that train, things pick up, and it just gets better from there. I had a really good time with this one. By no means the best Veronica Lake performance I've seen, because I Married a Witch exists, which came out the same year as this movie, from what I remember. So she had a good 1942, it seems, and 1941, because both our other movies that we picked for this were released that year as well. So there's that. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Alex, this movie's good. Take it away, Alex.
I can't imagine two stronger point of contrast to go to from like Veronica Lake's hokey magician act. Just two different magician acts. Like that singing magician acts. And then to go from that to like this very intense, and then I was beaten here, and then I was given to these people, and then I was beaten there. And it's like a very that's like it's very strange going from those two, like those two scenes are like 30 minutes apart, and it's really weird to go from like Veronica Lake making fish appear to and then I was given to the nuns, and you're like, okay. Wow, yeah, that does sound rough, bud. This Gun for Hire is like fine, you know what I mean? Like it's fine. I think all this stuff with the killer is a little convoluted. It's a little bit more complicated than it really needs to be. And all the stuff with Veronica Lake is it's like she's as confused as you would be if you found yourself in that situation, which makes it, I think, kind of like she's a charming performer. And so her being confused about what, about the plot of the movie is exactly what it should be. But the fact that I don't remember what the guy's name is.
Alan Ladd.
Alan Ladd? Yeah, Alan Ladd is taking it so seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It's those two couldn't be more different as performers. And that's like the fact that they're in the same movie right next to each other is a little weird. It's a little weird.
They collaborated, I think, 2 other times.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Although no one will ever beat the screen chemistry of Veronica Lake and Frederick March in I Married a Witch. That's that movie. I love that movie too much. Alex, you've created a monster.
The high bar.
Yeah, but anyway, last movie of the month for us, we got Sullivan's Travels. This was my pick for Veronica Lake. I had a great time with this. Hang on, I'm really laggy on my end. Can y'all hear me fine?
I can hear you fine, but yeah, you're laggy.
Okay, as long as you can hear me, I'll say my piece and then I'll leave and come back. Okay. Yeah, Veronica Lake in this movie is great, and but hang on, I'm trying to remember the dude's name now. Joel McCrea. Yeah, Joel McCrea. This movie could have been bad. Like it could have been, it could have felt really, really. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but basically you have this rich motherfucker who's going undercover as a poor person to understand what poor people go through, and this movie could have gone down the drain real quick with a premise like that. But I think it's played with a lot of a weird combination of sincerity and satire that I think just makes it work really well. I think they've got some really good chemistry, and I think there's some really good moments in this movie. The scene at the church where after Sullivan, I was looking for his first name, after John Sullivan is arrested and added to like a work camp, when they're watching a movie at the church, that scene was genuinely heartwarming. My favorite scene in the movie is when it's just a silent movie. There's the score playing over the scene and there's no dialogue. It's just Sullivan and the girl. That's all she's credited as in the movie, Veronica Lake, doing their thing. They're going from place to place. They're living like they're actually doing this experiment that they wanted to do. And it's just a really effective scene. Like that scene on its own could stand as like a really good short movie. But it's a very well done film. I really like the screenplay. I really like the performances. It clicked for me. This was one that it just worked. I'll be right back. I'm gonna leave and come back.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I would say that this one was the strongest of this week, I think, for Veronica Lake movies. I will say though, I didn't love it, and I wanted to love it, but I really liked it. I thought the premise was really good, and it's very on the nose of I'm gonna walk in somebody else's shoes type of thing, to try to write a movie about that. So I mean, I liked the meta aspect of it a little bit, and the satire of it all, but I don't know. I just wish it was again funnier, messier. I feel like something was kind of missing for me slightly, but But overall, I really enjoyed it, and I really would like to rewatch this, and I would like to rewatch it as a double feature with A Brother Where Art Thou. I just think that'd be a fun time.
That would be a fun time.
I liked it. I again, okay. I think the premise is a little hokey. The idea of like, well, I'll just be poor. There's again the movie concludes like there's nothing wrong with being poor. There's like a very like it's like a charming existence, and you can draw a lot of meaning out of that, and certainly people can be very happy with no money. That's all very true. But I think my favorite parts of this movie are when that's not what's going on. I get more out of it when it's just these two people having conversations than when I like, all right, let's get on the train. I don't care about the train. They're not learning any, it is not meaningful to get on a train, to like jump on a train going somewhere. Like that's neat, but it's not meaningful. I think their conversations in the diner are more meaningful because it's just two people helping each other. I think that is more meaningful to the experience. I love Veronica Lake in this. I think this is probably it's not as strong, it's not fun and flirty like I Married a Witch is. She's actually like very mean in this, and I think that's a fun turn for her. She's almost playing like a oh god, who's the lady from The Bride Wore Red?
Why am I drawing? Yeah, Joan Crawford.
Yeah, she's almost playing like a Joan Crawford kind of situation, where everything that Sullivan says she has a kind of answer for. Like he's not as clever he's not nearly as clever as he thinks he is, and he can tell that's why his work isn't connecting with him anymore. And that's really like that dynamic is a lot of fun, and they're fun when they're on the road, but it's because they're together. It has nothing to do with like, all right, let's go hand out money to the poors. It's I think that is kind of lost on me a little bit. But I think their chemistry I think is really strong, and that makes Sullivan's Travels kind of a very interesting watch, because I don't believe the plot for a minute, but I do like them. Like I do like these characters, and I do think it's funny that Sullivan can't escape being rich at all. Like he keeps trying to get away from the fact that he has money, and he stuff keeps happening to him. That stuff's really funny. But him like trying to be a poor is like lame and dumb. And Veronica Lake, honestly, Veronica Lake in her little coat and hat, that's really cute. I can't escape that fact, is her in her little, with her hair tied up and like the little bundled up in the little hat. That's just a funny visual. Yeah, God bless her.
No, I feel like what you're saying is exactly kind of the point, though, because at the end he's just like, well, I'm just gonna write comedies. So then if you like look back on it, it's like, okay, the movie's just like a comedy.
Yeah,
and like he didn't, make that movie.
I learned nothing. The lesson I learned was that I was doing fine.
Exactly. I think that's, I guess, I feel like I didn't get to like explain my point enough, but like you kind of helped me like get there. But like I feel like that was the part of the movie that was like weak, was like the message, or like the like through line. It was kind of a little loss. So yeah. Anyways.
Although I will say there's a moment where like anytime Veronica Lake is on screen, I'm just like I'm focused on the movie. There's a moment where they're on the train, and he asks her, "What's wrong?" She goes, "I'm hungry," and she's got the big eyes, and it's just like, oh. I immediately messaged Alex when that happened.
Yeah. I read it at 2 a.m, and I was like, what? What are you talking about? Okay.
But no, okay. Really funny scene in that movie is where they are trying to get onto the train. There's the two guys that are on the train watching them try to get on, and they get on. They're just like amateurs. They start making chit chat with those two guys that are in the same train car as them, and instead of just being like, we'll just it's an empty train car. We'll just stay here and deal with their bullshit. They just they get up and they leave the train car and climb on the side of it to a completely different car, get away from these two idiots. It's fun. That made me chuckle quite a bit. I love this movie quite a bit. I'm very excited to rewatch it. Excellent idea for a challenge, Alex. With that, we are done for this month, and we're one episode away from being done with the challenge as a whole. So I just have to ask real quick, like during the Christmas holidays and New Year's holidays and all that, or like afterwards, like first Friday of January, what do you guys want to do? I forgot to ask this before the show.
I don't know. Either's probably fine for me.
That's fair. Well, the next show will either be on December 29th or January 5th at 9 p.m. EST. The last four challenges of the whole challenge actually are week 49, a crime film, week 50, a film featuring Ingrid Bergman. Yeah,
You are Veronica Lake.
Alex got his, and now we get this.
Yeah.
A film released in 1963 and a film nominated at the 42nd Academy Awards, the year that ends the classic era of Hollywood before it goes into the 70s and new Hollywood and all that fun stuff. So we've got some great movies lined up. Time for the question that we always forget about. What movie or challenge are you most excited for next month?
It has to be The Night of the Hunter. I mean, I've heard so many things about this movie at this point. Like, I need to just see it now. So I'm the most excited for that one. I mean, we all chose Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, so like I'm excited for that one too, because I went on a rafting trip, and a part of the rafting trip that we went on, like parts of this movie was filmed there, so it's going to be interesting to kind of see the movie, and it's like I've been there.
Really cool. Yeah, that's super cool. We got someone. Yeah. Oh damn, I'm late. Yeah, no shit. We're just wrapping up. But no, I've got to say, like, obviously I'm excited for the one Ingrid Bergman movie that I haven't seen out of the three that were picked. A Woman's Face, which is one of her Swedish movies, one of her earliest movies. I'm very excited for that one. Although I will say Night of the Hunter is, well, I'm not going to spoil too much, but it's very good. I think you'll enjoy it. And actually, real fun story, quick. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, you mentioned we all picked that to end the challenge. There was a time a couple months ago where I was like, I want to watch Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice. And I was like, how can I fit this in? I messaged Alex. He said, how about you don't do that? And we just stick with the same movie.
Yeah, I think you only message me when I'm in a bad mood. I think you only.
I'm sorry. I will find better times to message you, I swear. But yeah, no, A Woman's Face. There's two Ingmar Bergman movies this month with The Silence and Winter Light, so I'm excited for both of those. But yeah, probably A Woman's Face. Oh, also The Killing, Stanley Kubrick's The Killing. So there's that. But yeah, Woman's Face, definitely one I'm most excited for. Alex, what are you most excited for?
Spellbound.
Hell yeah.
Valid.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I've already seen it, and I don't really have any reason to, like, I wouldn't have another reason to watch it again. and I it's not the kind of movie you just pop on. I don't really think, but I really enjoyed it the first time, so I think I'm gonna, Also, I got like 2 Vincent Price movies in, and one of them is an anthology, Twice Told Tales. So we're gonna have a lot of Price.
Wait, what's the other Vincent?
I think Jekyll and Hyde is another Price movie.
Wrong Jekyll and Hyde. Different Jekyll and
Ah.
Hyde. This one has Spencer Tracy as Jekyll and Hyde. So yay, but not quite Vincent Price. Yay.
Don't worry, Vince. I'll find a way. We'll find a way.
You can double feature them. He won Best Actor for that, or no, that wasn't Vincent Price that won Best Actor for that. I don't know.
Listen, Vincent Price is many things.
Marx won
Actor,
Best
not one
Actor
of them.
for Jekyll and Hyde. So there's that. But yeah, no, that's the show this week, I guess. Yeah, thanks for watching. Y'all have a great time, and we'll see you either the 29th or January 5th. We'll keep y'all updated. Oh, also, next year's challenge will be available will be posted soon. Yeah, so that'll be fun. Anyway, y'all have a good one. See ya. Bye-bye.
Well, nobody's perfect.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Oh, shit, wrong one. There we go.